Well, welcome back, everyone. Your eyes are not deceiving you by the title. Yes, this is the MSC Preview, and MSC is happening a little bit earlier than normal this year. It's happening in February, so it's time to start talking about what's coming up. I've got Mike Schwartz, Collab Solutions, who's the president this year of MSC. Tim Mason, of course, the whole reason I go to MSC, and then my famous co-host Henry. Henry, welcome back. It's been a great season, Henry. We have a couple more episodes, and then that will be the end of this season, but we'll pick right back up in January and into February because we will be at MSC for the podcast as well. So don't worry, podcast won't be gone for long, but we do take a little bit of a hiatus at the end of the year. So Mike, what's up with MSC?
He's gonna Steve Winwood it.
What's a Steve Winwood?
I don't know what that reference is.
You're gonna roll with it. Come on.
Okay. Yeah. Roll with it. Hey, if it's a music pun and Tim doesn't get it, I don't feel bad.
That's true. Go ahead, Mike.
So, but yeah, this year, we're earlier, so we're going to be in February, so it's right around the corner. So we've got, 4 months to get everything pulled together. And, we're trying to get, more and more people to come out to MSC and see the value of what we're putting together training-wise. So we're kind of doing, we've always been a training organization, but we're doing a little bit more of a shift and doubling down in training. And, we're hoping to show the rest of the country that there's value in coming out to MSC for training. And we've moved away from Disney, so now it's a much better value proposition.
Yeah, I think that's a big step, Mike. And it's something like we can talk about all the elephants in the room. Like people have talked about this for a long time. Disney is expensive. Like you just can't deny that. And so, and then there are people out there. Like I've heard this through the grapevine. People that just like the word Disney like sets them off. So it's going to be over in Garden Grove, correct?
Yep, we're over in Garden Grove, so we're just a few miles away, and there's going to be a shuttle bus. If I was informed correctly, for those people who still want to come out to Disney, there's going to be a shuttle bus that'll go back and forth, so your family can still come out and go to Disney. You're just not right on the Disney property.
Right.
You can shift over the Disney hotel too when you're done for a day or two.
Yep.
Yeah. I the last time we were there, we went to the beach in Garden Grove, so I know exactly where you're talking about. So that'll be good.
Yep. So, and then, we've got you guys out there. So we've got some sign calibration training coming out there, and, we're trying to get level 1, level 2, level 3 training all out at MSC, and then also have that NIST level training so that people can come out and, you can get that add-on that you have for, to continue your career in metrology. And my theme this year is training, because I've been noticing ever since I got out of the military just how short-handed we're going to be in metrology. So I figured the advantage of me in metrology is I'll get to choose where I want to go, where I want to work, what I want to do later in life. So that was an advantage for me because the industry was going to be so short. There just hasn't been any backfill since, the 90s when the U.S. military started downsizing the military. And when they downsized, they couldn't get rid of, the shooters. They couldn't get rid of the front line. So they started downsizing all the support and maintenance people. And that's, where metrology is. We're support maintenance and, we're what gets bullets on target. But the military just started outsourcing all of that stuff, and they didn't outsource effectively the training side of that. So you're seeing all the military people, guys, are, they're retiring. I don't know of any calibration lab I've talked to that at least 50% of their people are not leaving in the next 5 years.
Yeah. Oh, one. No one sees this more than myself, right? Because we're now pretty successfully in a lot of the major labs in the country, and it's the constant talk, right? Like, hey, there is no experience now coming around. Where in the past you'd have people exiting the military, and just to kind of put an exclamation point on what you said, Mike, because I want to make clear for everyone the progression that we've had, because we've talked about this in the past on the podcast. I don't think we've talked about like the changes. And for instance, when I was teaching at the schoolhouse, I would teach on my fitness report. I had about 220-ish students that I physically taught, right? One person. We're now graduating entire classes of a fifth of that, all instructors and everything combined. Right. And then you mentioned outsourcing. I just so happened to be a part of the thing called CalCell, a team that back in the early 2000s got rid of the depot level labs. I didn't get rid of them. I was just told to, right? So I loved
it's all your fault, Ryan.
I loved working at the depot level labs. I worked at 2 of them, so I know deeply about this. So we did that, right? We outsourced that depot level work. Well, where do you think they were getting those people from? And so we're this cannibalism and this cycle got broken, and like faucet completely shut off. And so we're all feeling it, right? And so we get contacted because people are panicking, as you mentioned, and a lot of times asking for placement services, and it's like, I hate to tell you, I don't have people just sitting in our pocket waiting for jobs. Like the second people are available, they're snatched up fairly quickly, right? And if they're willing to move, no problems. Like the hard thing sometimes is, areas in Cal, you have to dig sometimes to find good jobs in certain areas. Like you just can't help that. That's any job market. So, when Mike proposed to us, hey, why don't we actually do this training thing that we're talking about at the MSC? And I love it because there has to be something planned for people with the busy schedule that everyone has. Like, believe me, I've talked to a lot of commercial labs, right? Well, what would make you go to the conference? We don't got time for that, right? We don't have time. Well, if you had time, let's pretend you have time. What would draw you there? Well, I'm not sending my technicians unless they're learning something that is like demonstratable, right? And so working with us, we have all that stuff. Our entire school is progression based, right? It's not like, hey, you just select randomized training. It is progression based, and it's set for a certain job, which is third-party cal, like commercial cal is what ours was designed for. Was designed for technicians going out into the ether on their own to do cals. So this is a great marriage here, right? With MSC and the conferences. The only thing that we all worry about is it people, getting people to come back, right? What will bring them back? That's a big step to get people to that maybe once embrace things and still like support MSC as a organization, but how do you get them back to actually coming to the conference, right? So that's what the goal, right, Mike? I mean, sorry, I just talked for a few minutes there, but I just kind of want to bring everybody up to date. Like the industry is struggling, and it's not because there isn't passionate people or that, this or that. It's every source of getting technicians that we used to have is gone now. Like it's pretty much dried up.
And then they do it wrong. So on this topic, right, the baby boomer generation is retiring.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of labs, they have procedures, but they're supposed to be audited to the procedures. Do they all use those procedures, or do they know the workarounds that have since happened in the last 10 years for a lot of this stuff, and rely on Joe or rely on Mary or rely on somebody that has the experience? Because when you are in a lab, I cannot tell you how many things come in that people have never seen before, especially a commercial laboratory.
Oh, yeah.
It's not like everybody's just buying the same thing and it's like, I just have to calibrate X widget all day long. So
custom
having
fixtures,
that foundation,
just random stuff.
And having the foundation to know how to do it, like you're teaching what pressure, temperature, all the other stuff, the levels, and where we get hung up, and then Mike and Tim have to add to this, but where a lot of us get hung up on this is immediately, and you hear the name NIST. NIST is fantastic, though not many people are ready to be trained by NIST, because NIST is doing things at a whole nother level that the commercial laboratories are not. And to go to a class like that would be NIST giving you a class, that's higher than a level 1 introduction.
Oh yeah.
Right. I think we can all agree to that. And that's where people don't have it. And I think MSC, in the most part, the value, if things are still the same, and Mike and Tim can talk about it, that you pay one fee and you go to all the stuff you want to go to. So you can maximize all of the training opportunity. You can use every single day that you're there to be in a training. I think there are some at the beginning that do cost more, like, and I don't know if you're having this year or not, the CCT certificate exam and the other ones. But in general, the tutorial plan or the training plan, it's a one cost, right? It's still one cost,
yeah.
And you go to, so you can 3 freaking. What do you have lined up now? Both of you, 3 days?
4 days.
4 days of training for one cost, and you can go to every class that you want to go to, as long as they don't conflict time wise.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not only the training, but there's also the networking side of it. So being in that classroom with somebody that's going to be your peer as you go throughout this field, but being in that classroom with somebody who's at that same level or somebody who's a level above you, as you're getting that training, you can start talking about things at that level. In my lab, we do it this way. In my lab, we do it that way. And you can learn not just from the instructors that are out there, but from the other people that are out there doing that same thing in that career field that you're in. I've learned so much from just, talking to people that I've been offered corporate metrologist jobs, and I've never been through a 17025 audit. Which is to me completely ironic, but it's just talking to all of those people, getting involved with those conversations and learning those things that are 5 steps above where I'm at in my career field. And then when those things happen, I'm ready for those questions or those situations.
Well, a lot of these places that we're trying to convince, right, or that have senior leadership that have maybe been in the military, we used to do something like this called the Calabash. Like you get together with other Cal labs to discuss Cal. And I wish I could just convince people to come for the networking to maximize the networking, right? I think like the ability to get everybody in the same area and pass the good work, because metrology isn't like other industries that, you can turn on CNBC and get some news about it, right? Like generally, maybe Transcat from here, there, because they're public, but like you don't, like, where else are you getting this information? We always talk about that metrology bubble, right? Like, you got to get out of your bubble in your Cal lab where you think you're doing everything right? And just because you pass an audit, right, Henry? Just because you pass an audit, does that mean you're doing everything right? We'll have
absolutely.
Go hire
it
Ryan
absolutely
Kelly to
does,
look around
Ryan. It's you doing everything. There's not one single problem with your organization. You're not hiding anything. Your technicians perfectly know what to do before the audit. It's not like management goes and says we're having an audit this week and make sure you're prepared and get everything ready. That's that happens in most organizations. It doesn't happen in ours anymore. It's like, hey, we're having an audit.
Henry, that's a great idea. We should have the Ryan Kelly challenge where labs say, hey, we think we have everything under control, and then we pick a random time that Ryan Kelly shows up and audits them.
Yeah. Just give me
the Ryan Kelly
10
challenge.
minutes. Give me
The
10
Ryan
minutes
Kelly
notice
challenge. Because
I probably want to put away food wrappers or something.
Yeah. Okay. 1 day notice.
Not even 1 day. 10 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll need to pick up that weight, that mass weight that we're using to prop our door open and make sure it's put where it needs to be now. I've heard that. Dillip was doing an audit and they couldn't find this weight. And I'll be darned, he told me, he said they were looking everywhere. And somebody goes, you mean this weight? And they went and picked it up and they were using it to open the door.
Oh, no.
So it's truth. There's some truth to my jokes here. I've heard so many stories over the years of people, but yeah, the Ryan Kelly, no matter what, I mean, you learn something, you get better. It's not about if you can pass an audit or not, really. Right. It's just about applying the proper techniques, because when we say something's good and people do not realize the severity of this, and it drives me freaking nuts. There's two pieces, right? There's the PFR and the PFA. The probability of false accept is saying something good when it's actually bad and sending it off. Now, I send that to Mike, and Mike uses it. He calibrates 1,000 instruments unknowingly, because proficiency testing programs are every 4 years. So he's probably not going to catch it within there. Is Mike doing trend analysis? He probably is, but we'll pretend he's like most labs and not doing it. So Mike keeps using this device that's bad. It comes back for Cal. Somebody's received training, and now all of a sudden it's good. It's bad again. I want to say now all of a sudden it's actually bad. And you know what? The only reason it's bad is because someone adjusted it prior, right? So, or did something like that. And then there's the PFR side. Hopefully I explained the PFA side. It's basically you're saying something is good when it's actually bad. You're sending it off. You get the training. It would come back. I did say it wrong. It would come back, and now somebody's actually saying, no, it's been bad. And now Mike has to deal with a huge headache of everything, or he just sweeps it under the rug like, some labs do, and goes on with his day. And then there's the PFR side where you're saying something's bad when it's actually good. So you're adjusting it. And now at that point in time, Mike's still dealing with a headache because he sent his instrument to us and we're adjusting something that's actually good. And now he's got to deal with the headache. Not only that, he's got to deal with rework on the PFR side of things. So they're both bad. I mean, PFA historically gets the most weight to it because NASA and some other organizations say, I need to control this probability of false accept with all of the other stuff going on. But to me, PFR is just as bad for the customer, right? You're saying something, you're adjusting something that's probably should not be adjusted by all means.
Or in some cases, they got to buy a new asset.
Yeah. Yeah. So in that case, or they just buy one like torque wrenches. We all know the stories of this, but this is where people learn. They learn the proper technique. You're doing hands-on. You're doing everything else. They can observe everything for themselves. We talked to Case with pressure fittings and people putting them in bags and getting them all messed up. There's so much good information on this podcast alone, but when you're in person and you're actually seeing it, that is something that is very hard to replicate from just listening to a podcast, right? Or just attending an online webinar. They're all good. Learning's good. There's audio, video, kinesthetic learning. It's all good, but people learn differently. And most technicians that I know, at least, are very much show me technicians.
Yep, and that's one of the advantages of being out at the show. So I was at NCSL in, when was that? July. So when I happened to be at Bar 32, sitting there with Paul Reese, trying to remember who all was at the table. Paul Reese. Oh man, I can see their faces, but I can't remember their names. But we're all sitting there at the table and we're having a metrology conversation on TARs, TURs, and including the unit under test resolution. And I got to hear Paul Reese explain when he made the transition from you shouldn't include UUT resolution to you have to include UUT resolution. And he's going through these examples as to, why he made that change in his stance, which side of the fence he wanted to be on. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the advantages you get from the shows is you get those side conversations, those conversations at lunch, those conversations, sitting at the bar talking to somebody. Those are just as valuable as sitting in the class getting the training because you get to start understanding people's reasoning and thinking behind things. And that helped me with, where I sit on it. Because I used to be one of the UUT resolution as part of what we're testing. So it shouldn't be in our uncertainty budget, but it should be in the uncertainty budget that we report to the customer on that calibration, but it shouldn't be in our scope of accreditation uncertainty. So that's kind of where I sit now is it's important, but it's important at that point in time. So
that's an interesting one because Paul said Jerry Hayes is there, grandfather of TAR and decision risk, I think we can safely say. Navy guy came up with the TAR principle in the 1950s. And Jerry Hayes was telling Paul this about the resolution. And Paul's like, no freaking way, right? This guy's freaking nuts. He goes, Jerry, and then he goes down to Jerry the next day. He's like, I have to talk to you about this. And Jerry said, yeah, sure. Said, let's look at a micrometer. Simple. What's the only thing that separates you and me, if we're trained, from giving the answer, right? And it's how we see it, and how we see it is the resolution. Now, if it's digital, that's a different story. But we can all read the 0.1 at the end. I think we're not going to read that differently. Though, what he said, that's the only thing that's going to be the difference between basically two trained technicians and their measurements. And it's a pretty good concept on that, because there are people that argue against including it because it's a test.
And that was the fun part of being at the show.
Yep.
Was sitting there with that argument, because Travis Gossman was another person who was there.
Yep.
Right. And, listening to those guys, discuss things, was to me, the highlight of my show going to NCSL this year is going to be that conversation, just happening to sit down at that bar with those people, and having that conversation that lasted, I don't know, about 30 minutes. Then they closed the bar down.
And if you want to hear more about Paul Reese's realizations, you can also listen to our season 3, episode 1 podcast with Paul Reese.
There's 2 episodes.
Well, that's episode 1 and 2. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Tim Mason. So what say you about this swap from Disneyland to Garden Grove? You've been doing this for quite a while.
Oh, I've been doing it for about 25 years at the MSC. So, Disneyland has been home for us, and it was very comfortable for us, especially those of us that work behind the scenes to put the conference on, because we're all volunteers. So Disney was fantastic in the regard that they knew what we needed. We didn't have to write every little fine line down and every little detail of the conference. Power to this. You need a food set here. You need water in this hallway. The little things. They took care of us because they knew us, and we saw the same people. So it was very familiar to us. But it just got to the point where Disney Corporation wasn't willing to work with our organization, especially. I can't speak for others, but in order to keep the room rates down, the cost of putting on the conference is about the same no matter where you are in California, because the cost of food or tax, whatever, is about the same. But it's the room rates and the parking fees and things like that Disney is escalated tremendously in the last few years. So, but moving to the Hyatt, it'll be a new place for all of us. We're all going to be learning how to navigate the Hyatt, but we toured the facilities, and it is a fantastic hotel. It's fairly new, and the parking is going to be a lot cheaper. The room rates, I think $209 is a room rate. That's the base rate. So, I mean, that's half the cost of Disney right there.
Yeah.
And well within per diem rates. I think government per diem is about $199, I think, for Anaheim or Garden Grove, that area. So in regard to that, it is a fantastic opportunity for more people to stay at the conference hotel. Now, as far as the conference goes, it's a volunteer effort. We're all, as I like to use the word passionate, but we're all very passionate about metrology. I think everybody on this podcast is very passionate about metrology, and I've been in the industry, and I'm retired now. I just retired December 31st.
Oh, congratulations!
Thank you. It was a little forced because I moved to Colorado, and then we had a return to work situation, and I couldn't do it, so I was teleworking for a long time. But but overall, I mean, I'm still very much involved in MSC and a little bit NCSLI, because I believe it or not, I live for this stuff. It's kind of my identity. It's what I've been doing for the last 40 years. I got training in the Marine Corps. I'm a female grad from Denver, and matter of fact, when you were talking about the depot level dispositions, the E9 Randy Coronet was leading that. He was
he was my master guns, top cornet.
I went to school with him in Denver, and he was down in San Diego at Miramar, and I was there for his retirement ceremony.
Oh man, so this guy's a legend. He's from Kentucky, and he has that full accent, and he would run every day. Every single day he had run shirtless through Miramar and had this like golden brown tan, and he was like gray hair, silvered hair. Like he was awesome. He was legendary there on Miramar.
He never lost his accent. He still, I used to ask him, because we went to PMO together, right? We're all PFCs and Lance Corporals, and all of a sudden he's an E9. And I'm like, Randy, how did you do that? And he's like, well, TM, I don't know, just luck of the draw, and he never lost that, it was just, he was fantastic. He was good. But, coming through all that and then seeing the changes in metrology, the MSC and the NCSLI to some regard, is they're needed in the industry just to keep up with what's going on. I mean, I know we have social media and there's a lot of information, but there's also a lot of misinformation that can be garnered.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, it's important to be in the same room, but just imagine, we talk about this all the time. I've been in the industry, like I said, for about 40 years, and running the Edison lab for all those years, which we had a fantastic primary lab. Tertiary to primary, and having seen all the equipment and knowing all the people, I can pick up the phone and call NIST today. And it's not a brag. It's just, I just know these people. I can call industry general managers. I can call president of companies. I mean, there's just so many people to know, but I got to know them at these conferences, and you get to sit down in the room with these guys and you find out they're just people, and they're all just trying to do a good job. And most of the time, you get to talk to them and pick their brain and learn how they do things. And you can take that back to your company. And as you grow in your company, you can take that information and share it. And hopefully your company will grow in the metrology area. Because, face it, metrology is an ever-changing system, and you got to stay on top of it. And I mean, some of it's pretty simple. We're still taking thermocouples and measuring certain processes, but then you get into some higher level IR cameras and IR guns, and you're measuring 900 and 1,000 degrees, and now we're up to making ceramics at 1,600 degrees, and you got to know how to do it, all that. There's a foundation that can be gleaned from the MSC, and I love the MSC. I think it's fantastic, and Mike is putting together a good training program. That's the theme, and we're really working for that. Yeah, it's training. Yeah,
what was that again?
Working it, and the 4 days we're pushing the 4 days now, so that you literally get 4 full days of training, and we did that successfully last year. I think we've done it last 2 years, and because we were running about 3.5, now we're running 4 full days, right. and you can there's so much information, and if you get in a class and you find out that it's a little too basic or maybe a little over your head, you can get up and go find another class. You're not restricted, and it's actually too much for the 4 days. It really is. There's a lot.
We don't have to wear the shock collars to the room ananymore.
Not anymore. No,
when you get to do away with those? Yeah,
I liked having control over my students.
So, as far as the value, you talked about the value for the dollar. I mean, you get an all-inclusive price. You get somewhat of a breakfast in the morning. It's not a full breakfast, but you get breakfast. You get snacks. You get lunch, and then we have an activity every evening, which they're for fun. We always call the MSC the fun conference.
It is very fun. Band night. I mean, we were there. You've had the cover bands have been phenomenal. The only one I've been to that I did not love was the jazz band night, but that was
what?
Yeah, it's because you couldn't have a discussion with anybody.
Well,
they were just too loud.
That's a whole nother story. We were not supposed to be in that room. We had a big band of about 40 pieces, and we weren't supposed to be in that room. We were supposed to be in the main ballroom, but we just had a miscommunication, and we ended up in a small room that was, we had a sound system set up. We paid for sound, and we didn't even need it. They didn't even turn the sound on.
You did not need it at all.
No, I agree, but it sounded good though.
They sounded great, but you could not talk to somebody. So talking about networking, you got the band night. Yeah, everybody's having fun. You had casino games there. I don't know if you're doing those this year and stuff, but it just broke the ice completely, because some people are introverts. I don't want to go to this conference. I'm not going to know anybody, all this stuff. All you have to do is have the wherewithal to just say hi to somebody, and somebody's going to come talk to you. if this is your first conference, go find Tim, find Mike, say it's your first conference. They'll introduce you to everybody.
We'll wear you out walking around introducing you to everybody.
Yeah. We want to get people to, and we don't require it, but you can say first time, you can get on your badge first time. And then we've got everybody on the MSC staff to come up and ask, what are you doing in metrology? And is there any, what are you?
What are you?
And and
He's an unfeathered bipod.
What do you want out of this conference? And if we know that person, we'll walk you over and introduce you to them. But what are you?
What are you?
And also, let's not forget the exhibit floor where you get your test equipment manufacturers there, and then you walk around, look at the new equipment. You've always got somebody bringing out something new. Additel is always pretty famous for introducing a new piece of equipment every year, and it's phenomenal to see what you can. And I can tell you from a practical example that. When I was working with DoD, we were having such a problem with our pressure calibrators. I won't name any names or anything. We were having a huge problem, and our only substitution was a very, very actually double the cost of another pressure calibrator. It was literally twice the cost, and our customers didn't want to go for that. But we looked at Additel, and Additel was pushing this. They had just introduced some new equipment, benchtop and portable, new pressure equipment that was phenomenal, would meet all the requirements, and was literally about 50% of the cost of the original unit. So we ended up getting those for our customer, and that was all done at the MSC. That was where they introduced it. We saw it. We got the brochures. We talked to the gang at Additel, and we ended up purchasing 3 units and full units. It was 3 separate units together. It is a system. Low, it was a vacuum, low, and then high pressure. And we ended up sending those to the customers, and they've been very happy ever since.
You want to hear something crazy about them?
Well, that goes right into what I was saying earlier. Like, our industry is just so weird, right? Like, we don't have the traditional routes to see like what the newest products are. Like, we don't have
trade show,
right? Well, no, like
like
but
a
also
CES
the media
or
coverage.
There's no metrology convention that has like all the people gather and say this is the new TVs of the year, this is the new widget or whatever.
Well,
I wanted to add
on. Go ahead.
Yeah. I wanted to add on to Tim's because Additel is like one of the companies, and I believe this is the case. I don't have the exact numbers, but I think they have 100,000 square foot facility with 7 people. They've automated absolutely everything that can be automated.
Whoa.
So if you're sitting there like small labs probably aren't going to do this. Maybe they are. But if you're like a bigger lab, go talk to these people. Like, this is the future. Don't get lost in the dust. Like Tim was saying, and people talk. I mean, they're not going to tell you their trade secrets, but most of them will talk at length of what they've done and how they've done some of it, and maybe who they've connected with to help automate it, or maybe they've done it themselves. So if you don't go and you don't ask, you don't learn.
I've said all many times to people that there were. I was at the NCSLI with Mike in July, and we met some new people that hadn't been to a conference before that were involved in laboratories and either running or some decision making, and I was sharing with them that they should visit the other companies, even if you don't know them. Go talk to them and see what they're offering, because down the line, you don't know what you're going to need that may help your job be better. You may be sitting in a meeting and you've got a problem on your process line and nobody has a solution. And then you remember, oh, wait, I was at the show and I talked to this guy and he had this software or he had this piece of equipment that might meet our need. And then, that's the valuable information that you take back with you, even though you don't know it at the time. And also, it's important that we support the industry. That's like, the industries we're being so consolidated now with other companies buying each other. We all know about the big buyout that just recently happened.
Yep.
Technically, I'm not a fan of that because it limits our ability to go to different vendors and things. But when companies buy each other out, which it's been going on for 25, 30 years now, that it's majorly, and they're taking other companies off the floor. So if you don't attend the conference and support it, they're going to go away because we need people there to support it. I mean, it's not about making a profit, or nobody makes a profit, because the MSC is a completely nonprofit organization. We're volunteers. We have no paid staff, and we put on a conference strictly as an educational entity. That's what we are. We're a nonprofit education organization. And if we don't get support from the industry, eventually we won't be able to have a conference, and then it's going to go away, and it will probably never come back, because once it goes, it's tough to get people back to do that kind of thing. And it's been going on since 1979. The MSC was created back then, and it's been they've had a conference ever since. And it's been dwindling just because of the amount of exhibitors on the floor. We used to have 60, 70 exhibitors. I remember one year we had 82 back in the early 90s. It was huge. And it was of course, now these companies aren't being around. You can name them how many aren't there anymore.
Right, yeah.
They're all been bought up or gone out of business. And there were like 5 or 6 cow companies on the floor. If you remember back in those days, we had Davis Initech and Cypress and Simcoe and still Transcat and a few others. It was Edison was on the floor.
Lockheed? Well, not Cal, but Lockheed, Grumman, all Raytheon.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of they used
all
to
there,
all
Wave
come.
Tech. Yep.
Yeah.
X1, Martel, all those companies were on the floor and introducing new technology. And of course, then they get bought out, and now we're down to what we have. But it's still, the companies are still there that we need to go visit them and keep them there, and we need the foot traffic, but we need people to come out. We're making it easy to do it. The exhibit hall passes are free. You can sign up and get, right, Mike? They're they're free this year, as was last year. So you can get an exhibit hall pass, which gets you on the floor, so you can come by and visit the exhibitors. Doesn't get you to any of the activities afterward or training, but we try to make it as easy for everybody to get there. And parking's going to be like, I think, $15 this year, as opposed to Disney last year.
Do not know the parking price off the top of my head.
It's no more than 15. It's either 10 or 15, somewhere in that range. Per day. I think if you're overnight, it's 18, but per day it's either 10 or 15. So it's not horribly bad. Disney was 35 last year. That was ridiculous, but we couldn't do anything about that.
But I think those things help. If you look at like I noticed this a lot in my own company since the pandemic, right? The travel costs have become astronomical. Like there is a significant increase there. And so any small part that can happen that brings over, that bottom line, I think is extremely helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, if you can drive out there and just pay $15, it's a no-brainer for the networking. If you don't do it, that's shame on you.
Right.
Yep. The other thing that we're doing is we're offering meeting space to exhibitors. So now if you're an exhibitor there and you want to have a meeting with your, some local organizations, or bring people in to show them or discuss something, that's available. So we have that. What happened last year that was very effective is Miatest wanted to have a meeting with the Navy about what the Navy's future requirements are. So they brought all the decision makers from Corona came down for that meeting, and then they got to walk the exhibit floor for free. So that turned out to be very, very good for the exhibitors, because these were people here that are normally not out at the show, but they came down to attend that meeting. So the more synergy we can get with exhibitors, inviting people out to show them a product on the floor in person, that just helps get that networking up.
And if you're an exhibitor, you get to come on the podcast. I mean, that's enough as it is.
That's enough.
That's enough as it is. There was a really good reception from people from those, especially the watchbacks. People really liked seeing what the exhibitors were there to talk about. You know what I mean?
And I posted that clip on Facebook, and nobody watched it long enough to make a comment.
Oh, well, Facebook.
What clip did you had posted so many things. We had the Mike Schwartz at Collab Solutions, where Mike wasn't there and everybody else was taking pictures. We had that going on.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, I was doing a tutorial there. So, but So Sheila, while we were doing the podcast, if you remember right, Sheila came over and gave me a kiss right in the middle of the podcast.
That's right. I forgot about that. See, I got to cut those up.
This?
I got to cut
live. Does she know?
Huh? Yeah, what was funny is I could see out of the corner of my eye that Sheila and Sita were talking, because Sita was watching the podcast live, and apparently Sheila got Sita's permission before she did it, but I was completely caught off guard.
And Sita was probably laughing at you.
Yeah, I got
the reaction.
I haven't had a chance to go back through because I want to cut those up and do smaller segments for people to watch. That gives me motivation, so I can put that as a teaser out there.
Or just do it this year. Say you'll get your segments this year and all the reason to go.
Or just open up a kissing booth for Mike.
Yeah, I like this. Does he pay them or do they pay him? How's this work?
Okay.
Yeah, Tim's like, something has taken a turn here.
So what, Tim? Are you paying or are you not paying?
Tim wants nothing to do with this.
I'll be sitting back with notepad and legal notices.
Yeah, what was the name of that group where the couple got caught cheating?
Oh yeah.
Oh, Coldplay
concert.
The Coldplay.
Yeah, Coldplay.
Yeah.
So my scenario on there is all she had to do was turn around and give him a kiss, blocking both of their faces, and it would have been a nothing.
Easier.
There's so many ways that could have went differently.
Yeah. Do anything but just dodging out of the way suspiciously.
Yeah, that was a lesson in stupidity right there. But
you can't buy that type of media attention. I mean, maybe MSC. Who do you have famous at MSC besides you, Tim, that can go to the Coldplay concert, get caught, and drum up the business for?
I'm going to vote for Mike. I'm going with Mike.
I think that company had they fired him, but man, the marketing from that stupid thing.
You know the rule. There's no such thing as bad press. So
yeah.
But back to the MSC real quick. We've got really good training coming up this year. We've got Guildline going to do a complete full day tutorial on resistance.
Wow.
We're working on a dimensional tutorial, full day on dimensional. We haven't been able to do that in years, and I talked to I don't want to mention any names to make sure till we lock it down, but we talked to a leading manufacturer and their leading PhD about doing a full day tutorial, and he agreed in principle that they would definitely come out and do that. So, and we've got some pharma tracks coming up. We're trying to get some particle counters and other things for pharma that FDA related. We're really trying to, put out the fingers so that we got enough for everybody to come out for something. And then, of course, the after hours fun. Last year, we held a trivia contest on Monday night, which was quite fun. We give away prizes, and those who answered the most, you'd get tickets, and then we draw or a raffle at the end. And that was a lot of fun. Mike and I drew up some questions. We had over 100 questions, ranging from high-end trivia to low-end trivia. What's Ohm's law? What's the R in Ohm's law, kind of stuff like that. But it was a fun night. Everybody seemed to enjoy it. And then, of course, we have our exhibitors reception on Tuesday night, where everybody comes in and just sees the exhibitors and starts really the kickoff for the full activities on Wednesday. Wednesday, we have our tech sessions, which we're working on some really good tech sessions. I've been talking to DoD manufacturer. He's going to come out and do a tech session, a two-parter on night vision devices and thermal imaging that the military is using these days. Yeah. Fascinating
awesome.
Technology using the intensifier, because I used to work with them at DoD. So I have the contacts over there at the company that I used to buy our goggles from and our test equipment. So they have a guy local in Oceanside, so he's agreed in principle. He's just checking his schedule to make sure that he's free, but he's going to come out and do a 2-hour session on night vision devices and thermal imaging. That pretty high end stuff, but he's going to take it from the basic all the way up to how they what they use for their equipment.
Mike,
so we've got a lot
on the podcast.
We can do that. Yep. It's good for them. It's good for everyone. So we'll talk offline. And so we've got a lot of things in the pipeline that we're trying to do to, just to keep the keep the activity and broaden everything out, because it used to be in the old days we focused on electrical and resistance and maybe some pressure and a little torque and a little bit of force, and then we realized that there's a lot more measurement out there. So it's kind of branched out to where we've kind of gotten into other areas like pharma and other industry where they're using not normal techniques. I mean, we were doing work with SpaceX. We had them on the hook for a couple of years there. They were coming out talking about some of their processes. And so we were always trying to branch out and give something for everyone to come out. And but it's important that people come out and fight to, sometimes you got to fight your management to come out. You got to justify it, but we give you enough training. We're trying to get the information out there on the web a lot sooner than we have in the past, so that you have enough information, enough weapons to go talk to your management to get approval to come out for the training, and all that works for it's good for the industry. It's good just to keep the MSC alive and the NCSLI. It's important for them too. We're sister organizations. We work together a little bit, and we all try to. We try to present the most accurate, informative, and current information that we can. So I think that's where we are, and Mike's doing a great job of setting it up with training. Thank you, Henry. And so I'll let Mike continue on.
This is something from an anecdotal side, just real quick. There is a big difference in what I've noticed from labs that I go to train at, if they even are familiar with MSC and NCSLI. Because yes, I go to some where it's like, what, they're just not involved in the industry in that way, and they're behind. Like it is very easy to tell when a lab is not necessarily keeping up with what the modern metrology and measurement industry is doing. Right? Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Well, that makes sense though, Ryan, because how do they know? They're probably in their own bubble. And if you don't get out of your bubble, chances are you die at some point, or you get bought by, maybe that's your goal. You can get bought by one of the big companies.
But again, I know a lot of these places, they think, they're in their head, they're like, we're accredited, we're doing everything right. Yeah, we don't have time to do this stuff, but we're doing good enough. And it's like, no, you really aren't. I promise you, but it's hard to
have to have
people
somebody.
Sometimes,
somebody has to be out networking. It doesn't need to be every single person in the company, but that would be nice for MSC and NCSLI, I'm sure, but that's not realistic. But yeah, somebody has to be out networking.
Yeah, there's always that next thing that you have to learn. Even if you're an expert in this arena, there's always that next thing.
AI's there. Like everybody's going to be talking about it. I mean, some people are moving to automation, and I don't mean that. So the first step is augmentation, right? Where all of us can use AI. We can feed stuff in. We're still a human. We're still doing it. We're getting something back. We're validating it, hopefully, because it spews out. It hallucinates still quite a bit in my experience. And then the next step is going to be automation, which means we're going to pull ourselves somewhat out of it. I mean, it's going to be like just run.
To that regard, we are having a tech session on AI, and Mike's part of that. So we've already locked that down. And so we saw the NCSLI had a very good attendance at the AI session they had. And, obviously we're not trying to copy the NCSLI, but it's such a fantastic topic to get into because it is revolutionary. And it is it's moving along at a pace that I don't even know if we can keep track of, really. Yeah. I saw the NVIDIA conversations yesterday on the business reports that their chip is the number one chip, and it's done for AI, and then the competitors like 50% less than them right now. So the Chinese are wanting the chips and for AI, and it's really gonna revolutionize the industry eventually. But we're gonna be discussing that. We're having a tech session on AI. I mean, we keep talking about different areas of our industry, and I keep remembering that Mike is, we're working on getting training in that area, at least to talk about it.
Right.
So those are additional things that people can come out for. We can't cover everything now. At least I can't, because I can't remember everything that we've done. But the website will be up to date, and we'll have all this on there. But there's a lot of things that we don't get to advertise entirely because there's just so much. But come out to the show and see what we're offering. I think
Well, that's
Yeah,
huge.
I think,
That's a broad appeal topic. Everybody,
Yeah.
no matter what your discipline in metrology, can benefit from learning what might be in the pipeline on AI. Am I behind? Am I not behind? If you don't have people using it in your company, you're behind.
Yeah, we're working with. I'm working with NCSL to get an AI committee put together. So I've already put the paperwork in with Ryan, and Ryan's going to bring that up at the next board meeting, see if we can get that kicked off. But if NCSL kicks off a committee, most likely there'll be a committee meeting at Measurement Science, because we've opened up a lot of the committee meetings at MSC for NCSL. We've got days that we make that available where local people can come out and get involved with the NCSLI committees.
One of the things I would like to stress is while the MCSLI and the MSC are sister organizations, we do differentiate ourselves a little bit between them. The NCSLI has always been a little bit more, well, they're definitely RPs. They're definitely, they definitely write the procedures, and they do the regulations, and they have their committees, and then they have a lot of managerial type of lectures. Whereas the MSC is really back down to the technician level. We still offer the high end. We still have NIST coming out doing fundamentals of metrology, which is a higher end. We have, they'll do their photonics and different things that are important to the industry, but they're not for everyone. But they're very needed. But we also offer that basic training with Ryan coming out doing his, and we have other introductory courses to metrology for those who are just coming into the industry. And if you want something a little heavier duty, you got your NIST, and we got those available. So those are the different. So a lot of people have to decide budget-wise which ones they want to go to. Do you want to go to an MCSLI or an MSC, because they are in the same budget year? But sometimes you don't have to make that decision because they are different. And if you can get your budgets approved early, you can go to both. But I always stress the MSC for the training of the tech, and those because a lot of managers and supervisors are put in charge now that don't know metrology.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of companies have adopted that principle that you don't need to know the subject that you're supervising. You just need to supervise people. And metrology is literally one of those industries that you could make a bad decision that could harm your customer and harm your business by not knowing the industry. That's one of those. Metrology, I actually saw it at my old lab at Edison. The corporate decided that was a good way to go, that we would get supervisors, and you end up having to train the supervisor the whole time you're working with them, because they're making decisions, or they don't know how to make the decision. They come to you and they say, well, what about this? You give them options. And so metrology is one of those where it does help to come out, and if you're a supervisor or a manager that you're being put into a position that you're not fully aware of, then come out and network and go to some training and take some basic classes and get caught up on what the industry's doing and what your company's doing. Exactly. So anyway, that's
Tim, can't say that enough. Buying the right equipment. People that do not understand will go and buy the cheapest thing, and then they will have more of those PFRs and PFAs sending good stuff out that's bad and bad stuff out that's good. So,
and then you've got intangible cost on that, because then you got to go in and do you got to research the equipment, you got to write a new procedure, and then half the time you can't get the specs, or the company that produced this lesser grade piece of equipment isn't supporting it very well, and you're calibrating it with, let's say you got a calibrator that's going to calibrate it 100 times better than it was because they bought the cheapest piece of equipment, or something that's not supportable. It might have software in it that you can't support. I've seen that before. And you got to go to the OEM, and that kills your turn times and takes it off takes it off the line. There's a lot of intangibles that you don't come up with unless you've been involved in this, and So yeah, it's a lot there.
Yeah, and Tim has been putting together a back to basics tutorial. So it's a 1-day tutorial that if you're a manager in the industry and you just need to know the basics of it, just coming out and grabbing his 1-day back to basics tutorial, after a few years, you're going to have a little bit of knowledge in all the different areas of metrology and probably be able to make better decisions.
You will be. You can't. I mean, learning, the more we know. We always say,
the more you know.
Right. It's not G.I. Joe, right?
That should be a slogan somewhere.
But Tim does a really good job of getting those, instead of doing an hour tutorial or a full day tutorial that's an in-depth in a particular area, this is just, picks off the top of each of the different disciplines.
Well, it's hugely needed. There's a lot of places in the industry, salespeople, a lot of roles out there that they always come to us. They're like, do you have anything that they don't need to know the technician level stuff, but that it will give them kind of a general of the discipline or whatever. I'm like, we don't right now, because we're teaching technicians. Like that's our whole
Why don't
thing.
They need to know the technician stuff? Yeah, they don't need to know to the nth degree. Yep. But if you're going to sell something, you should spend time. All of our salespeople spend every single one of them spent at least 2 to 4 weeks in the lab.
Nice.
Henry, have you taught in a back to basics?
No, I have not. Because we don't.
I know Brian and I both have.
But I've sat in on various ones. I've not sat in on Tim's, but I think that would be freaking fantastic because Tim is very energetic and very passionate. So I think that would be anybody that wants a refresher should absolutely take that course. And you might learn some things. Hey, I have some questions for you guys. Just fun questions for you guys. So, and for people out there, true or false? Once an instrument is calibrated, it stays accurate forever.
Oh, true.
Okay. Calibration is the same as adjustment. This is one that people may not get.
Yep.
No.
Yeah, no, it's
and
not.
And what's your reference? No. Webster's.
Yeah.
The definition of calibration, Webster's.
Any calibration certificate guarantees traceability.
Sorry.
Especially this one that I have here from China that has measurements. That's a traceability right there.
That goes back. Well, if you have NIST numbers on your certificate, you're good for life, right?
You're good. Mine 8675309 is awesome. Hey, this one's for Mike because he's in this realm. More decimal places means a more accurate measurement.
Oh, definitely. Because you can always take two numbers and divide them, and now it's infinite.
And more for you because you're in this realm too. Like I've always heard, right? Digital instruments don't need uncertainty analysis.
Wow.
Well, the biggest thing with digital instruments that people get confused is when you got a digital instrument and you dig down into the hardware, your resolution is probably not a digit. It might be like 0.875, or something like that, because that's the resolution of the A to D. And a lot of people get that confused because the A to Ds are doing binary. Yeah, exactly. The A to Ds are doing binary, and that least significant digit is probably not a whole number.
And I'm using my back to basics training here. So A to D is analog to digital, just so we're clear on that.
No, that's good. But there are people out there that think resolution is what it resolves is how good the freaking instrument is. I mean, all of these, I said them in joking. I had a list here I was waiting to ask.
I was going to say, if you had any questions about the list or you didn't know any of the answers, please reach out to us.
Oh my gosh. Yes, you need more help than we've realized. We're
going to get Henry involved in our trivia contest question.
Yeah.
We'll get him involved. But here's the age-old question. Is a verification a calibration, and is a calibration a verification? If you verify an instrument, did you calibrate it? Or does the calibration involve adjustment? That's the age-old
calibration does not, per definition in the VIM, the non-negative parameter one, calibration does not involve adjustments. I've given you a set of data points, and you can go and use them.
And verification's adding a tolerance to it, isn't it?
Well, that would there's the age old question.
I have that.
Now we just got to go back to the VIM because we could argue the VIM is great on these questions, vocabulary of international metrology, because you can get a very definitive answer that people have problems arguing with. They will argue with it. Don't get me wrong. There are people that I've been doing this for 20 years. I don't know. You don't need no vocabulary to international metrology. I know what I'm doing. And those are probably the people that if you work for, you may be doing the wrong stuff. Just saying. So
Maybe.
I've ran into a lot of people doing a lot of wrong
Or if you
stuff
work
from
for
here.
those labs, run.
Right. Well, try to improve them.
If you can. Some
Attend
places
the
won't
MSC
listen.
and get some training. Send your people.
Well, and that's another thing. There is a gap there because sometimes quality managers are fighting owners, right? And if you're in that position, that's another one. I mean, we've all been there. It's all relatable. It just happens on all of this.
By the way, Henry, to circle back to a previous comment, anytime you're at the MSC and you want to come in and talk about force, you are more than welcome. You just let me know if you're going to be there. Because usually,
all right.
I know in the past we've had conflicts with your schedule trying to get you out. So
I've been out. I've been out a few times, but yeah, this
been a while. But you should.
It's been. Yep.
If you get if you get to do that, you just let me know, and you can. I will. You're the industry expert, and this is the beautiful thing about the MSC, and again with even just the back to basics. I always have industry professionals come in and talk about the different subjects. I used to do it myself. Jim Smith from Boeing and I started this, and John Bowman back in the early 2000s when we started doing this class, back to basics. And we were doing it ourselves, but I found out that I know, new people that knew more than me because they were the industry experts on that particular discipline. And I would have them come in, like I'd have Don Cross from this come on and talk about temperature. I'd have Mike come in and talk about software. I'd have Howard Zion from Trazcat come in and talk about PFRs and PFAs. And I had DJ from the base talk about uncertainty because he wrote their uncertainty module for the entire Navy. So I mean, I had all those people come in and do this stuff or do these trainings, and it turned out that not having to having the answers right there when an attendee would raise their hand and have a question, pretty much the answer was given right then because I had all the industry experts in the room. So Henry, if you ever decide if you can make it out and you want to do my class, you have a carte blanche.
I will do it at some point. So.
You are carte blanche, my friend.
So I wanted to say, so we talked about it. The best, in short, is calibration is quantifying measurement performance, and verification is checking compliance with requirements. If you want
fulfill specified requirements here in the VIM.
If you want if we want to go to the VIM,
I'm in there.
Provision of objective evidence that a measurement system or procedure meets specified requirements. If we want to go towards the VIM on that, but I was trying to shorten it, Ryan.
So is a function check a verification?
No.
Nope.
Those are all good. They're good discussion topics.
Right.
This all goes into
and that's been going on forever.
At some point in time, we should do if we can get enough people to the MSC that there's teams like a Transcat team and this team and that, we could have a metrology bowl. I want to do that.
Well, that would be fun.
It'd be so much fun.
That would be fun. You could have teams.
We could televise it.
You could do brackets. You could have bracketed like a playoff style.
Yeah.
Like you keep going, and maybe you do to get rankings like positions. So
please, if you have ideas for metrology games, give me email me ryan.egbert@signcalibration.com. I'd love to hear some ideas. Well, gents, we are at the end of the show. Do we have any final words about this MSC coming up?
I have just questions.
We have a lot of words.
Make sure you guys are hitting the websites to see the classes that are coming out. I'll send you some links that you can put out there on the podcast, and people can hit so they can see what's coming up.
Also, we have a MSC newsletter that goes out, and you can go to the MSC MSC-conf.com and sign up. There's scroll down to the bottom of the facing page, and you can sign up for the newsletter, and we'll keep you informed of any new training that we sign up for, and also as the conference gets near, we'll let you know what time things start, where to go, what the hotel says, anything you need to know that's pertinent. We'll keep you updated with that. So go to the newsletter and get signed up.
And we'll do that.
We'll
Mike,
maybe some information.
Maybe we can do a special episode in December or something like that, just when some of or even January, where some of the details are finalized, so we can definitely go over some of those things.
Yeah,
even if it's just a quick one or something.
Yeah, we've got 9 NIST classes confirmed, and we're building on getting the tutorials. It's hard to get everybody confirmed when you're, 5 months out, but once you get into 2 and 3 months out, now you can start hammering that course down.
But I think this is a good
who's going to
time
be there.
As Tim was mentioning, getting to your boss, getting some budget approved and stuff. This is a good time to hear about it. So that you can, especially those that have those weird fiscals, the November 1st fiscals, this is a good time to get that in and get out there first of the year. We'd all love to see you.
Yeah, and then for people who are experts who are watching this, experts in your field, reach out to us if you want to do a training class or something in a particular area, and we can see if we can get you into the schedule this year or next, well as if there's something you're looking for that you want training on.
That's a biggie too. Yeah, let us know. There's lots of ways to get a hold of us, but let us know if there's a particular training area that your company needs. And we always try to see if we can reach out to someone. We know we have a lot of fingers out there. We're tied by other people's schedules, and
we got a lot of
tied
fingers
by other people's schedules and such. So we try to do the best we can. Again, we're all volunteers, but everybody donates their time, and everybody that you see at the MSC is there for one reason only, and that's to educate and train and also have fun. It really is. We try to have fun at our work, because that kind of makes the day go by quick. So. Anyway.
And we forgot to mention the band. Tim, tell them about the band.
So every year we have a tribute. We have music of some degree of different things. We've had some really good bands over the years. We've had the Beatles tributes. We've had big band. We've had
the jazz band.
We've had Elton John.
Foreigner.
We've had Foreigner. We've had some good ones. We've had the 70s K-Tel. We've had the Eagles Experience, which was phenomenal. This year, I asked Mike what he wanted to do for the President's Reception, is what we call the Wednesday night activity. We're going to do the gaming. We're going to have gaming where you come in and you play with house money, and you get tickets, and then we have a raffle. We raffle off a bunch of prizes at the end, and we have music to go along with that. And Mike wanted to hear. He just happened to mention, "Hey, I love the band Boston. I'd love to have a band that plays Boston." I go, "Well, I just happen to know the guys that work in the #1 tribute band for Boston called Don't Look Back." So we have signed them and inked them in. They're going to come in and play a Boston set, and you're going to hear some phenomenal music, all from the band Boston. So we're hooked up. We're all excited about that.
More Than a Feeling, Amanda.
Oh my gosh!
Back.
Man, I'll Never Be, Hitch a Ride, rock and roll music.
Yeah, rock and roll band.
Foreplay, Long Time, you name it. They do it all.
If you work in a manufacturing environment, it's on someone's radio every day.
It's there. So my question for Mike is basically, I'm assuming the kissing booth is a go. And if you're taking quarters, are you going to calibrate the scales or verify the scales? Because the money's just going to be pouring in. I'm
going to need a calibrated counting scale.
Okay.
Wouldn't that be hilarious that this is the year that there's like 10 times the normal attendance, and it's like, what happened? It's like, we heard about this kissing booth. We had to see what's going on.
I brought my quarters.
It's like that pie, remember like in the military, and especially Marine Corps, they would have the pie throwing things to gain money. And that would always, where you could throw them at your like commander or whatever, those always made a lot of money. That
would be a good, probably not logistically possible, but that would be fun for us in metrology.
Yeah.
Get a few
go outside in the parking lot and get a dunk tank and throw balls and harass
now
people.
That will make some money. A dunk tank.
The TMD group would line up.
You didn't say drunk tank, right? You said dunk tank.
No, that's a different room.
That's a different room.
That's okay. Just checking.
Yeah, the dunk tank will make some money, and I wouldn't doubt it if there's a place you could buy or you could rent a dunk tank.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Probably
there's one right down the street from me. I see like there's 5 out there all the time. I'm
probably
like, it's cold.
Yeah.
We could put a few corporate people up there that we love to.
That's right.
And of course, Mike.
Yep.
Well, everyone, training coming to you this
Wait,
Thursday.
Did you say it 4 times or 3 times? Because it's 4 days. It should be 4.
Training.
It's
coming
a
this February. Make sure that you all attend. Reach out to us. Reach out to MSC if you have any questions, and also you can reach out to us at Sign. Thank you for listening, and we will see you all soon.